Hello and welcome to the sunny and very cold Brecon Beacons here in Wales. It's 0 degrees Celsius at the moment. I've got a whopping great big 21.6 kilo rucksack which has sprung a leak from one of my water bottles there, but yeah, we'll see if that stays liquid for long because it's set to get down to about -8 to -10 Celsius tonight with the wind chill. I've got loads of new bits of kit, so I'm going to show you what I've been treating myself to with the little bits of money I've made from YouTube. I thought it was about time I spoiled myself and put that money to good use. So I'm heading right up there. I'm planning to camp on Cribbin tonight, which is a mountain I really love, and I'll see you on the way. It's been a while since I was here and I know this is going to be a challenging walk for me. My fitness isn't the best at the moment. This 21.5 kilo pack is definitely not going to help my very first ascent to the top of the ridge via the steps. So I'd normally take the nice gentle sloping path that takes you up onto the top of the horseshoe. I've only ever come down the steps, so with this pack on my back it's going to be really hard work. But yeah, on this camp I just thought I'd maybe show you some of the things that I've been buying with my masses of YouTube wealth. I know everyone likes to think that YouTubers rake in thousands of pounds a month and they can just spend it on cars, booze, holidays, buy 5 Hillebergs a month. But in reality, my best performing video, which I think has about 22,000 views at the moment, which I filmed just over a year ago, has made me £65, I think, so you can throw those Hilleberg ideas out of the window. But the money I make through YouTube does allow me to keep this channel going, whether that's by upgrading my computer or buying bits of camping gear I need, or actually it's just a source of motivation. I think money motivates a lot of us, and it's just a little pat on the back every now and then. And while I had just been tucking that money aside, I've now decided to make peace with the idea of using my YouTube earnings to buy camping gear I'd like to use. So on this trip I've actually got 4 new bits of kit which are going to make quite a big difference to my camping experience actually, so stay tuned to see what I've been buying and let's keep plugging these miles. As you can see, there is ice on the ground. I've just walked past a little bit more there as well. Not surprising, it is 0 degrees Celsius at the moment and it's going to get a lot colder tonight as well. I can see there is, I don't know if it's just frost or potentially snow up on the tops of the mountains where I'm going to be walking in an hour or so. And that brings me on to the first bit of kit I'm going to tell you about today. And this is the only bit of kit that I haven't paid for myself out of those 4. I found myself walking on snow and ice quite a few times last year and I just didn't have the grip I needed. Sometimes I wasn't even expecting there to be snow, and on one camp in particular the snow was coming up over my knees and I had some fairly sketchy descents. I would consider myself to be a fairly sure-footed person. That's just down to thousands of miles of cross-country running and lots of hiking in the countryside as I generally do. But it doesn't matter how sure-footed you are when you've got a big weight on your back as well and you're descending on icy rocks. There's only so much you can do with a bit of balance. I think we've all heard of the term microspikes, and that term is a little bit like the word Hoover or maybe the word Velcro, in that it's actually a trademark. So MICROspikes is a product made by Kahtoola, and it is effectively a sort of strap-on crampon for your walking shoes or your walking boots, so you can carry them with you and then just attach them to your shoes or your boots, and they have spikes on the bottom of them that grip into the ground or the ice or the snow. So I dropped Kahtoola a message, asked if I could try out the MICROspikes, and they actually offered me the EXOspikes as well as the MICROspikes. So I've brought the MICROspikes with me, which have fairly aggressive teeth on the bottom of them, and the EXOspikes offer a sort of hybrid solution because they're a little bit shorter and they let you walk on trails and tarmac as well. So if I find myself needing a little bit of extra grip on this trip, I will be breaking out my Kahtoola MICROspikes, and yeah, they've got some fairly gnarly, I think they're about 9mm long. I'll stick up the correct length on the screen, but yeah, some nice jaggedy spikes on the underside which will dig into the ground, and they can even help you on mud if it's a particularly slippery path you're on. I'm just near the bottom of the reservoir at the base of the horseshoe, so you can see the main horseshoe up at the top here. I'll be walking along this ridge from left to right, but first I need to cross this bridge down here, and then you can see my little zigzaggy path, and then we follow that all the way up onto the top there. I am on top of the Brecon Beacons horseshoe. That was a bit of a treacherous scramble towards the end because the steps were just an absolute ice sheet for a lot of the way. I am now 3 miles into my walk. It should be about 3 miles to Cribben from here, I think. It's going to be much flatter walking now I'm up on top. So it's time to make up a bit of time because it's 2 PM now. I was really wanting to get to Cribben at 2 o'clock, so I had time to set up camp and sit and enjoy the views a bit, but I was late leaving the house and this is what you get. But we'll see. I mean, I'm not 100% dead set on Cribben, and for all I know there'll be people already set up there with the tents when I arrive, so I'll see how time goes, and if it feels like the daylight is slipping away from me, I might just stop somewhere else around the top of the horseshoe. Time to concentrate because we are back in an ice field. My face is starting to go a bit numb now, so it's getting harder to talk. But I'm feeling fairly warm on the inside. I'm being careful to retain all my body heat today. My lips might not be working very well, but the rest of me is nice and warm on the inside. Okay, now it's starting to clear a bit. You can see the saddle between Penyvan and Cribben. So Cribben is just about to be in the cloud again, but for now it is out of the cloud, it's in blue sky, and that does kind of spur me on a bit to get up there. I just took what might be my last drink for a little while, as my drinking tube is starting to freeze up now. The mouthpiece was a bit crunchy. I was able to suck through a few bits of ice, so I did get some water flowing, but chances are that'll be frozen up in the next 10 minutes or so. So I've had one last drink. Yeah, we're looking at, it's just ticked over to -2 Celsius at the moment, flickering between -1.7 and -2. So what I'm going to do is, can't quite work out where I'm pointing, but there is a footpath that sort of circumnavigates the top of Corndee and takes you straight to Penyvan, because I need to drop down and then climb up Cribben. So I just want to cut out as much distance as I can, because it's 2:45 now, I think. So with the sun setting at around about 4 o'clock, I've only got just over an hour before the sun goes, so I really want to get pitched no later than sunset, really. I'm determined now to get to Cribben. It really is where I wanted to be tonight, and because it's so close now, it really makes no sense to stop where I am and camp up just to get some sunset views, because I mean you can see the sun trying to kind of spread its way down the valley there. Just got to watch out for the ice again here. So the sun is beginning to set really. I'm still kind of up in the cloud as well, so whether I stop over there or carry on to my destination isn't really going to make a big difference to visibility. Either way, I'm going to be in the cloud, or the cloud might clear, and if it does, I want to be on cribbing when that happens. So yeah, I've got some more ice here as well. I was just telling you about my Kahtoola MICROspikes earlier, and as much as I'd love to use them on the ice to try them out, they are not really going to be ideal from switching between ice and rock. So walking on rock, if you remember walking on football boots as a kid, on ice or tarmac, it's really hard to get any grip. So what I don't want to do is be switching from my shoes to spikes every 2 minutes, because it's just not really time efficient. And I definitely don't want to be walking on rocks in MICROspikes, because they are basically little crampons and they're just not designed for walking on rock. Okay, this is a perfect time to show you the views. We've got Pen y Fan over here to the left, and look at this view down the valley today. It is beautiful, and I'm going to show you in a sec why I'm so happy right now. So we've got the path down off Pen y Fan, and then the saddle at the bottom here between Pen y Fan, and then this is cribbing up here just in the cloud, and this right here is a spot I was really hoping would be free today. I've seen it before in someone else's photo, and it's absolutely tailor-made for a tent. Looking from here, it looks quite level. It's definitely a big enough patch to stick a tent, and it's also away from the footpath, but it gives you a perfect view down the valley. It also gives you a look over this way into the main horseshoe. So am I ever happy I decided to keep walking and see if this spot would be out of the cloud and available. I was dreading coming over the hill there and seeing another tent pitched up there. I can't see a tent, I can see one person descending just near that spot right now. Let's hope they're going to carry on. I'm going to keep a beady eye on them, but I cannot see any other people at the moment. That person actually looks like they're going back up the hill. Everyone keep your fingers crossed that that spot will be mine tonight. Look at the sun coming through now as well. Absolutely stunning. As you can hear, this last climb up cribbing is fairly hard work. It's definitely going to finish off my legs, but look at that view. The sun is just about to dip down over the back there. And we are almost there, so I'll see you at the spot. I have made it to my perfect spot. This is the little shoulder on cribbing, and it's absolutely perfect. Look at the view, and look how level it is. I wasn't expecting this at all. I thought I might have to compromise and have a slightly slopey camp, but look at the views. Right out on the edge here, so the views are completely uninterrupted. Pen y Fan is just about losing its cap of cloud there. Sun is just about to go down, but I'm having technology issues. The drone doesn't want to take off. Apparently I need to sign into my account. I haven't used it for quite a long time. I don't even have a signal on my phone for some reason, so I will spend about 5 more minutes trying to get that to work. But otherwise I need to get this tent pitched and get some warm clothes on. Wish me luck. That's the tent pitched, and the sun has just gone now, but the colours are really starting to come out. And this, I just can't believe how good this pitch is. There's hardly any wind tonight. It's meant to be quite low wind speed all through the night. Look at that cloud, the way it's just hanging off like a nightcap or something off the top of Penavan. And the air is getting really cold, but I don't really care when the views are this good. So what I do need to do is start unloading a bunch of stuff out of my pack. I'll get partially set up, but I'm also going to show you some of the other new bits of kit I've got, because they're going to come into play very soon. Okay, so the first piece of new kit, which I'm really excited about, is something I've been looking at for a couple of years now. I say new, I bought it secondhand off Facebook Marketplace, but it had never been used outdoors, and it looks like it hasn't as well. This is the Thermarest Trekker Chair kit. So what this does, as I'm sure many of you have seen already, is it allows you to pump up your Thermarest air mattress, or I think actually any other, well, I say any other, some other sleep mats also fit inside these. So because mine is I've got the Thermarest NeoAir X Therm, this is the max regular wide version, so I've had to buy the wide version of the Trekker Chair kit to fit my wide mat. But it just allows you to turn your mat into a chair, and I'll show you now. So I'm going to use my little Flextail Tiny Pump 2X, minuscule little pump. It's also a lantern at night, so if you press and hold the button, you get 3 different brightness settings to use. So this will pump up my sleep mat now, and it will also act as a vacuum pump in the morning and deflate it for me. So I'll just pump the mat up now. All I do now is thread it into the Trekker Chair kit, and then we'll fold it back on itself, clip it in place, and I'll show you when it's a chair. So now all you do is just clip up the 2 side straps. And there's also a central strap that goes across the middle. And there you have it. That is a surprisingly comfy chair. And I don't just mean it's quite comfy given that it's just a couple of bits of fabric and clips. I mean, it's really comfy. It's warm as well, because of course it holds you off the ground. It's nice and cushy, it's insulated. And what I'm just going to do is put my closed cell foam mat on the grass, just in case there's anything sharp under here, because I don't want to puncture my air mat. And sit back and relax. Well, I say I want to sit back and relax. I actually have some more stuff to do, so I'm going to get some more kit out, and I'm going to show you what else I've got to play with. Okay, we've got lots of new kit in shot now. I've just had a quick change, and I've changed into my Rab Argon pants. These are down insulated pants, trousers, wherever you come from in the world. In the UK we call them trousers, but they just seem to be known as down pants. So, Rab Argon down pants, and these are an absolute game changer. I've been looking at these for a couple of years now. I've always seen YouTubers walking around in these, and they just sound like the dream. So I'm basically wearing a down sleeping bag on each leg. They feel really solid and well made. I bought these myself with my own money, and I put them on just now. So I've got my thermal long johns underneath these, which is how you're supposed to use them. I put these on and it felt like, I don't know, it felt like I'd put like a mini radiator onto each leg. Just straight away I felt a real warmth come back into me, because it is very cold now. Everything, my water, I just shook one of my water bottles and it's making a rattling noise with all the bits of ice floating around in it already. But I put these on, and honestly right now I am absolutely warm enough. Of course I'm sitting on my Thermarest seat as well, which is really comfy and really warm, so this keeps me off the ground. My view is phenomenal right now, and yeah, this means I can actually hang out outside for a little bit longer and stay warm in the evenings, which is a really big part of camping. So Loving these. I'll leave a link to all of this kit in the description so you can have a look for yourself if you like. I've got the Kahtoola MICROspikes here, so I mentioned these earlier. I know the light is fading, it's quite dark now, but I will give you a quick look at these. So they come in their own little tote bag here. There's the Kahtoola logo on the front if you're wondering how it's spelt. And inside here I've got a pair of MICROspikes. So they come with this elastomer sort of sleeve that slides on over your shoe. So you just put them on over your shoe when you're wearing it, pull it on, and then you end up with, there are 12 spikes. So there are 8 spikes up at the top, 4 at the back under your heel, and they are held on the underside of your shoe. So all of these great big spikes will be biting into the ice or the snow or the possibly even mud, slippery ground, and it just improves your traction. There are a few different versions of MICROspikes. Like I say, it's a trademarked name, MICROspikes, but they're just generically known as MICROspikes. Any device like this that clips onto your shoe or your boot and gives you a bit of extra traction in winter. So yeah, these have been around for a while. They've undergone quite a lot of development over the years, so they've been honed and fine-tuned, and they have a really good reliability rate. They've got a 2-year warranty on them as well. So although there are cheaper versions out there, I think you can pick up some of these for sort of 15-20 quid, something like that. But from what I gather, in a lot of cases at least, they just don't last. And of course you have to buy either another pair again for 20 odd quid, or you could just buy these. These are around about 50 to 55 pounds, I think. Again, I'll leave links in the description for you to look at things. And the EXOspikes, which are kind of like a hybrid between a running shoe and having MICROspikes. So the EXOspikes are very short, and they allow you to cross over from sort of hard trail, rock and tarmac onto softer ground like this as well. I think they're a little bit cheaper, but again, I'll leave links in the description for you to have a look at. But they're really light, really packable. For the additional traction they give you, it basically opens up a new world of walking, because my walking shoes don't actually have all that much grip. I wear the Keen Targi 3 walking shoes, and I find them actually quite slippery compared to my Scarpa shoes. So if you're wanting a bit of extra traction for the winter, they are really small. They pack right down, so I can hold them in my hand. They pack right down, slip them in your pack, and if you come across any ice, it takes a few seconds just to chuck these on your shoes and you're away. I haven't walked in them yet. I know they're a very well-known product, these, so that they've been tried out all over the world, so I know they're going to work well. I just haven't used them yet. As the light's fading, I definitely want to get on with making some food, and that brings you to my 4th and final piece of new kit. And you've seen this before possibly in some of my stove testing videos. This is just a very cheap Van Gogh cook pot set I bought ages ago. But what's inside here is what's exciting. It's in an MSR bag. Again, I bought this myself. This was off Facebook as well. It was brand new, unused, and it is a Whisperlite stove. So it's the MSR Whisperlite. This is a multi-fuel stove, so it runs on liquid fuels. You can use white gas or Coleman fuel, as we call it in the UK, which is what I've got here. You can run it on all kinds of other fuels as well, kerosene, paraffin. You can even run them on petrol, though they don't love that. So because the gas stoves don't love working in cold temperatures, you lose all the pressure and you really lose any power in the flame, and they do actually go out sometimes. In fact, I camped just on the side of Cribin, about half a mile that way a few years ago, and I couldn't boil any water because my gas just got too cold. And it's a real issue in winter actually. So I've bought this to see me through the winter. I'm gonna have a go with it. I hadn't realised that you can also get stoves that can operate with the gas canister inverted, so it runs off the liquid fuel. This is a little bit of a faff, this stove. There's quite a lot to getting it working. I probably won't show you all of the workings now. That's maybe for another video because it's getting dark and I want to stop making food. But there's quite a lot of kind of faffing around and maintenance and sort of special operations required with this, whereas with the gas canister you just screw it on, light it, and away you go. So with that, I'm going to start getting out my windshield and my little base mat. This all comes with the stove, and I need to get this primed with fuel and lit, and then I'll start getting some water heating up to make my food. It's 7 o'clock now and it is cooling down. It's -5 Celsius in the tent at the moment. A little bit cooler outside. It's actually really still, so there's very little wind chill to speak of. And the clouds have cleared. I was really hoping I was going to get some good views of the night sky tonight. I've had 2 meals, so I had a Wayfarer chicken tikka and rice, and then I used the hot water from that to make the Adventure Food chicken curry. It's the first time having that and it was rubbish. I'm never going to have that again. It was just really plain dull. Didn't really taste of chicken, didn't really taste of curry. Don't know what that was, but I don't want it again. I actually pour the hot water in the Adventure Food because it's a dehydrated meal, so you have to put the water in and leave it there. I then sealed the top and then put it inside my coat, and that just radiated so much warmth through to me, and it also delays the process of the meal cooling down because you have to leave them for a good few minutes to absorb all the water, and in that time they can cool down a lot, so by the time the meal is actually ready to eat and rehydrated, it's warm or cold. So because I don't have an insulated food pouch, which is something else that's on my wish list, put it inside your coat is actually, it's possibly better because you get loads of warmth off it yourself and it keeps the meal warm, so definitely a good tip for these colder months. It was a different cooking experience using the MSR Whisperlite. Something I have noticed since buying this stove is these inverted gas canister stoves. So I'm going to have a look at those. You can't really use this this liquid fuel stove inside a tent. You saw the flame lift right up there as I came to prime it. That's completely normal. That's the way they work. There are a few cons to this stove, lots of pros. I mean, they work for decades. You get people with these stoves who've had them 10, 15, some even 20 years, I think. So it's dependable. It's always going to work, but it's just not as convenient as a little lightweight gas canister. So I'd love to hear from anyone who's used both. Have you used the inverted gas canister? Maybe if you used a dual fuel stove, like a liquid fuel stove like this one. I'd love to know what you all think. Have you maybe switched from one to the other? I'd love to know your reasons why, and also which stoves you're using, because I do love a stove, and I'm definitely here for the stove chat. But I don't really have much more to say. I think that's me for today. I am going to... well, it's really frosting up in here. I don't know if you can see any of this. Absolutely everything is frosting as soon as it's out. So the water, I heated up a bottle of water, which is in my sleeping bag now to keep me warm through the night a bit. I heated that water and poured what I wanted into the bottle, left about an inch in the bottom of the pot. Within about 2 or 3 minutes, it had ice crystals forming on top. It's just relentless. My water bladder froze hours ago, so I can't drink anything out of that anymore. But I've got my hot water bottle in my sleeping bag. That is the water I can use for breakfast. I've also left a load of water in the cook pot, which will be frozen now anyway, but if I leave it in a plastic water bottle, it's kind of stuck in that bottle in the morning. I can't get it out because it's frozen. Whereas if I leave it in the cook pot, it'll freeze in there. It'll just be a solid block of ice, but I can just put the cook pot straight onto the burner and it'll thaw it out, and then I've got water to use again in the morning. So with that, I think I'm going to be going to bed very soon. It's not even 7:30 yet, but I'm ready for a good sleep, and I will run the time lapse for you. Hopefully you can see the night sky, and I'll speak to you in the morning. Good morning, it's round about 9 o'clock now and it's clouded in again. Anyway, I've just been watching the day start really, so sun rose about an hour ago. I did go up to the top of Cribben. Cribben is just up that way. Cribben stands at I think about 795 metres. I'll put the elevation up anyway. So I went up there just to see what was going on, see if I could see the sunrise starting to kick off. Believe it or not, there were 3 people up there already and a dog. I've also been hearing voices up on the top of Penavan, which is currently right up in that cloud. So I've just been having a very relaxed breakfast. It's just, I'm so glad I bought that Thermarest Trekker chair kit. It's just so good. It weighs something like 350 grams, I think. And try and get yourself a comfortable chair that weighs 350 grams. You get the little sort of fold-up aluminium legged ones, which I think kind of serve a purpose, but my friend Luke has one, and because the legs are only, I don't know, 10mm diameter, they're constantly poking into the ground, so you suddenly drop down as your chair starts disappearing into the soil. But yeah, this Trekker chair, it's really, really light. It turns your Thermarest, which you've already carried with you, into a really comfy chair. I was aware of the fact that it was going to insulate me from the ground, but I think something I hadn't maybe considered was the fact that it's a complete wind block behind your back. So it actually comes up quite high, as you've probably seen from the video now. Yeah, it comes right up behind you and completely blocks out the wind. The MSR Whisperlite is performing well. It's doing exactly what it should. It is a little bit tricky to use. I think I've said that a couple of times already. It's just not as straightforward as a gas stove. But it is good to know that I have a reliable flame source, which isn't always the case with the gas canister, just because they are so sensitive. Once the temperatures get much down below about 5 Celsius. It's warmed up a bit now, so it's minus 2.4 degrees Celsius. It was fairly consistently -4, -5 in the tent last night, so I dare say it was somewhere around -8, -10 with the wind chill. My Rab down trousers here, they were possibly the purchase of the year. I knew they were good, I knew they were going to be nice and warm, but they've completely transformed my winter camping actually. So I've been sitting out here in the wind, with the wind chill. It's probably still about -5 out here at the moment. I was just sitting here in -5 eating my breakfast, toasty. I normally get really cold, but I was just toasty. I kept them on all last night as well. I even walked up to the summit of Cribben last night when I was trying to get signal, kept these down trousers on for that, and I was so warm, and I wasn't hot and uncomfortably, I wasn't sweaty or anything, I was just really, really warm. I got into my sleeping bag, and that's exactly what you want to be doing. So this is something I was reminded of quite recently. I watched some camping tips, some sort of cold weather winter camping tips from a woman. I think she was maybe Norwegian. She conducts camping tours and yeah, sort of winter excursions. So I'll try and find her video again, and I'll add a link in the description. And she was just covering some of the basics and also some tips that she's sort of gathered together through her experience. So a down sleeping bag, or any sleeping bag really, is really there to insulate you. It's there to hold your body warmth in. It's not magically going to generate heat, so if you get into your sleeping bag cold, you will just stay cold. That's what the sleeping bag does. It just holds in whatever temperature you have going on in there. So it's really important to generate some warmth. So with me going up to the top of Cribben immediately before bed, I came down nice and warm, zipped myself in the sleeping bag, and I was so warm. I would also thoroughly recommend getting a bottle that you can use as a hot water bottle. So I've got an Nalgene bottle which I pour hot water into just before I get into bed, and that just radiates heat throughout the night really. It was still quite warm this morning, and of course that means I've got some liquid water in the morning if I need to use it, which I did to clean my teeth, and also added a bit to the ice which I was boiling up from my cook pot this morning. If you leave some water in your cook pot, yes, it's going to freeze overnight, but at least you can just heat it up and thaw it in the morning straight on the stove, which is what I did, and it just guarantees that you can have access to water in the morning. hopefully after that drone footage you can see why I'm so impressed by this camping location. The Brecon Beacons are so beautiful, so dramatic, and to sleep right next to the top of Cribbin, which is my favourite mountain in the Brecon Beacons, is, yeah, it's one to tick off, I think. Definitely one of my favourite camps. Before I forget, when it comes to these down trousers, if anyone wants to buy any, I would recommend ordering up one size at least. So I read some reviews online that were saying this. I'm normally a 32 to 34 inch waist, but I ended up buying the XL size in these Rab Argon pants, and they are the perfect fit. So you're meant to wear them over thermal leggings anyway, so I've got my leggings underneath, and I've also tucked my hoodie into the waistband. So once you consider the waistband of the leggings and the bulk of my hoodie, that's why you need to order just a little bit bigger than you might normally order. It's that dreaded time. I've put it off for as long as I can, but it's time to pack up the tent. As you will have seen, I've been using my Terra Nova Southern Cross 1 on this camp, and this is a kilogram lighter than the Hilleberg Solo with its footprint. I didn't actually bring the footprint with me this time. That wasn't intentional. I didn't use the footprint on my last camp, and it wasn't until I'd actually packed my rucksack in its entirety that I realised the footprint was still in the wardrobe. So yeah, that's why it's weighing in at about 1.7 kilos as it is, and the footprint has a little bit more than that. So yeah, nice light tent. It was lovely and quiet in the night, pitched as well as ever. This is my ultimate wild camping tent. I've spoken about it before. I've released a video where I give my 1 year impression of owning this tent. So if you'd like to watch that, check out my other videos and you'll see what I think of it. I list its pros and cons, but for me it's the ultimate mix of lightweight and compact without being too small, and it certainly doesn't compromise on strength. The wind's picking up a little bit now, but this kind of wind doesn't faze the Southern Cross one at all. If you'd like to buy one of these for yourselves, I'll leave a link in the description, and if you use that link to buy a tent for yourself, I will get a small commission off that sale at no extra cost to you. And I also have a discount code which I'll leave in the description as well for you to get some money off that purchase. Okay, here we go. Let's get everything packed up. Worst part of a camp ever, but it has to be done. I'm all packed up now. You can see the thawed patch where my tent was. I've had a walk all the way around here to make sure I haven't dropped anything. It's really important to leave no trace, and I'd just like to take this moment to thank anyone else who's camped here, and they've clearly taken the right approach of leaving no trace. They've tidied up, and this area looks completely untouched. It's really important that you make sure that every subsequent person gets as magical an experience as me. I know there have been a few YouTubers recently who have been doing really good work they've identified massive stacks of rubbish in the countryside, and Bushman in Blue, Al, he's the one who stands out the most. He brought back something like 30 litres of rubbish, and we shouldn't have to do it. Take your own rubbish home. It doesn't take much. If you brought it up here, take it home again, and then someone like me, or maybe you, can turn up and really enjoy an untouched little patch like this. That sun is just coming out again, so what more could you want, really? Okay, it's time to get the pack on. I might have a nibble of that completely frozen Lion bar before I head down, and then I'll go and try out these MICROspikes. So if I put these on now, I'll give them a quick go on the way down from camp, and there's actually a rocky path all the way back down the valley, so I'll just try these out for the hill on the way down, because I'm really interested to see how they work. There we go, that's one on. It's not too difficult, and those actually feel really well located. So you can see I've got 12 spikes on there now, and these will all really dig in. Wow, they really do. Okay, shoe number 2. And you can see, if I just show you quickly, they're all linked with stainless steel chains, and then they've got little reinforced eyelets here. So I think the lack of eyelets in some of the cheaper designs mean that these just rip through the elastomer. so it doesn't take long and they are ready for the bin. But yeah, there are size guides on the Kahtoola website. I think my shoes are right up at the top end of the medium size band. These are size medium, so they seem a little bit snug. You can see around the back the elastomer only just gets over the back of the heel, but that seems to be doing the job because the chains are nice and tight. So I'll get this one on, I'll get packed up, and then I'll give them a go down the hill. Ready to roll. That was a really good first test actually. I've just been descending from cribbing. I had no problems with these at all walking down there. Loads of grip, the grass is all frozen here, so I don't think I could have walked that in just my walking shoes alone. And I'm just looking up at Pen y Fan now, and the cloud just keeps passing around, and now it's completely blocked off again. I was going to say the cloud keeps passing around the bottom and revealing the top, but yeah, it's gone once again. But really beautiful scenes around here in the Brecon Beacons today. I'll leave a link in the description to the Kahtoola MICROspikes. I'm not an affiliate with them, so I don't have any discount codes for you yet. I might see what I can do there, because I really do prefer it if I can give you discount codes and then everybody wins really. But yeah, I think I'll be breaking these out on some future camps, particularly when it gets really icy and snowy, and these are going to be a bit of a game changer. Fast forward to the walk back to the car, and this is a bit of bonus footage for you, because as you can see this whole thing is ice. So I've put my MICROspikes back on, and I'm going to see how the MICROspikes do on the ice. That was a really good little quick test of the MICROspikes on some actual sheet ice there, and they make it so easy. So instead of skidding and slipping around, you can feel them really bite in. And I was trying to give my foot a little bit of a twist as well each time, but they were locked in. So that's my little quick ice test, and I'll hand back over to James at the bottom of Pen y Fan. So I think that brings us to the end of this camp. Thank you very much for clicking on my video and giving it a watch. Subscribe if you'd like to see more. Please leave any questions and comments in the comment section down below. Particularly like to hear from the people with stoves, so the liquid fuel versus gas and inverted gas canisters, things like that. I'd love to hear your thoughts on those. And yeah, sad to take my Argon down pants off, but I can thoroughly recommend those after only one usage. I'm going to keep wearing those, so I'll let you know how I get on with them. I'll see you on the next one.